Hi, welcome back to Master Recaps. Today I will show you a thriller dark comedy film from 2013 titled Cheap Thrills. The story of Craig, a butler who has to try hard to earn money to support his family. In the past, Craig was a company employee with enough salary, but due to the poison of the economy, he was fired from his current position. Craig had to lie. His wife every day said that he still works in a company that, in fact, Craig is only a carpenter's worker. He is having trouble living hard. Craig has a family to take care of, has a room rent that is overdue for several months. By the end of the month, if Craig couldn't make at least $4,500, he and his wife and young children would immediately become homeless. Craig's bad luck wasn't over when Craig was fired from his job because Craig's entire cradle was about to shut down. Right now, he only had a single beer in the bar, but it might have brought him a huge fortune. When Craig meets Vince, a former best friend from when they were in school, the duo sits down through misery for the past few years and concludes that they are both completely powerless and had nowhere to go until the two met their husbands. Billionaire wives Colin and Violet are so fond of gambling that they make an offer that will change Craig and Vince's lives forever just by taking a simple game if they dare. They will receive an agreed-upon prize money in return, which seems like fate is on their side. Should Craig and Vince continue to pursue this rich couple tonight, they might even earn a large sum of money to support their families. Colin then began to challenge them to a shot of booze by giving them $50 for each drink they drank. Vince accepted the challenge and drank a lot of booze, which Colin actually agreed to pay. Vince handed that money to his best friend Craig because he knew how much Craig needed to spend, but he was stopped by Colin for not wanting the game to run out of fun before you predicted. It must have been paid, it was correct, so if Craig wanted money, he had to start doing it himself. Craig raised his glass of wine without hesitation in exchange for the money. Later, Colin challenges them to grab the butt of a waitress in a bar, who dares to get $200 in return for drunkenness plus a desire for money to take care of the family. Craig begins to play Colin's challenge. He walked over and grabbed her butt and was kicked out of the bar, then followed by guards against him. Colin then challenges Craig to fight it for $500, which, of course, Craig's willingness to do until he's knocked out of the guard. Upon awakening, Craig finds himself in a rich man's luxury home. Two couples with Violet sitting there and wounding him. Vince decided to follow Colin here to continue the game. Today they both want to have a lot of fun since it's Violet's birthday, but Craig disagrees and he's desperate to go home. Craig had a bad intuition of what would happen next if they challenged us to do something dangerous. Would it be worth the money we made? So Vince told me that I'm not that stupid to keep playing this stupid game. These people are very rich people. They are very rich and have a lot of money left over to the point that they can even throw them away. I'll rob it and take all the money home, and if you don't agree, get out of here. Craig, who at first disagreed, but in his mind seeing the picture of his family and his little child, he needed the money to save his family, so they both hijacked Colin and forced him with a knife. Ask him to tell them where the safe is hidden, but strangely, Colin told them, but it's nice to say that the safe doesn't have a code set. Craig ran into the room and took out all the money in the box. Colin told me to take my supercar with Vince reaching out to grab the keys and glance at the champ. Colin's karate black belt. At that moment Vince's side of him was attacked by Colin to the point of crouching in one punch. The drowsy Violet had a gun hidden in her pocket. What the hell happened to both of them? Freaking out, Craig exclaimed in his heart, because he knew that if he was caught by the police, his family would definitely suffer, but Colin did another unexpected move, letting them both go. The man walked home without him calling the police or anything. 15 minutes ago we were all still good friends and today is Violet's birthday too. She was totally destined to you. Did you know that all this money was $250,000 which she had? It's already prepared for us friends and that's why the safe doesn't have a combination lock, so if you don't want it, you can walk out of my house. Needless to say, Vince and Craig have resigned themselves to the challenge. Craig called and told his wife he was going to be late, and his wife told Craig that she knew all about Craig being fired from her job or that Craig lied to her every day. She had forgiven him for everything and was ready to go back and fight his life with him and his children. Just ask Craig not to think short and come back to the family, where Craig hung up from his wife and headed back to the full game of gambling. Not that he didn't know it was going to happen. That didn't get any better from now on, but with what he carried like the head of the family, Craig was willing to do anything in exchange for it. Colin challenged both of them to hold their breath. The longest was awarded $500 in return, with Vince being more drunk so he couldn't hold his breath for long. Craig was able to do so comfortably, but Craig was beaten by Vince into the stomach in order to win the prize money for himself. Colin then said that this game has no rules or cheating. The winner is the winner. Colin later leads them out of the house and points out a pile of dog shit, which they both hurriedly shook their heads. Absolutely refused to eat dog poo. Colin said, "No, I've never had a dog, but it was from next door. I would give $800 to the person who went into his house as revenge, and then had to take a photo as proof." Vince then said it was an intrusion, so I'll pay $1,200. Craig, who listened and therefore ignored him, immediately headed to the house with Vince playing, followed by another. Craig succeeded and returned to Colin to show him the evidence. Later, he carried the dog of that house along with him. $6,000. I dealt with this problem. Vince made a bargain with Colin that he would kill the dog if Colin would pay him, but that person wouldn't agree because killing the dog wasn't in the game either. The two began to argue as the money grew more and more. Their friendship dwindled. Vince began to play tricks and began to use force to attack his friends for money, with Violet always reaching out to help Craig when. Seeing this, Colin offered Craig to sleep with his wife in exchange for $2,000, which Craig rejected this time because he loved his wife and children very much. $4,500, which is the amount Craig owes his rent, enough to pay off his and his family. As the two made love in front of Colin and Vince, Craig actually received that $4,500, which he said goodbye to Vince because he didn't want to compete with his friends for money. Craig immediately walked home without saying a single farewell to the husband and wife, which made them both very sad and thinking of giving up the game. Vince, who still hasn't got the amount he wants, offers him to do whatever Colin tells him in exchange for the money. Colin, who is fed up with a game with no contestants, tells him, "I need your pinky." Vince, $25,000 in exchange for your unused little finger. But something unexpected happened when Craig walked back and said that he would cut off his pinky in exchange for $23,000. Only, everyone was shocked because they didn't think Craig would come back even though he had the money he wanted, but Craig said that this amount was not enough. It was enough to pay off his debts alone, but not enough. Now that he has no job and a 1-year-old child with his wife to look after, he's willing to trade his pinky for $23,000. Vince then said that he'd cut off his pinky for only $20,000. They both wanted Colin's money, no longer caring. Craig had said he would cut his finger at $15,000, which greatly upset Vince and thought Craig was insane to trade his finger for money only. Craig's response gave Vince goosebumps because he said that even if it was $6,000 he would cut it because it was more than the income he had been trying to earn all month. Vince was told by Colin to have Craig's finger amputated, which was more painful than the kind that he couldn't put into words. Fingers into the meat grinder. Craig cried out in excruciating pain before Vince punched him in the face with words that cut deep into his father's chest. He had been trying his whole life to live well, in a good company and with a family, but after all, you look at your own state now. You have to lose your dignity in exchange for money, sleep with other people's wives, and even cut your own finger. Even if you are different from me that everyone calls a scum of society, we may have different beginnings, but this moment, your values as a person and I are hardly different. Colin soon shows up, interrupting the couple's conversation with a special dish he's prepared, the roast pork dish, where Colin offers $50,000 for whoever eats it all first, but the result turns out to be both equal. Colin then used a special rule to help decide by proposing that whoever ate Craig's finger would win the game. Of course, Craig was willing to do anything for the money, so he swallowed his finger of himself immediately down the throat. Vince, who was deeply saddened by the end of the game as he was a loser and had barely gained anything from the game, went on a rampage, frantically attacking his friend for the sake of money, which Colin offered the final game to. Vince eventually kills Craig in exchange for $250,000 while playing a slideshow of all of what happened tonight for them to see. Vince took the knife out of his pocket and walked straight towards Craig, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't kill his best friend. Vince had told us his friend was stepping out of the house before he was turned down by Craig and shot him in the back, because Craig had received a similar offer from Violet to kill Vince in exchange for money. $250,000 as well. Craig did it without hesitation for what he called a family. The game ended with Vince dying and Craig becoming the sole winner of the game. That's the end of the movie. Subscribe for more video like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.